Well, welcome to the world today. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Here's what's coming up within the half hour. Japan criticizes Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to disputed islands as absolutely unacceptable. Palestinians asked to vacate homes in village where Israeli settlers besiege houses. Zambians vote in major election as President Hakainde Hichilema seeks second term. Let's begin the world today. Hey, thanks again for joining us on the program today. We begin in Japan, where Prime Minister Sanae Takachi has condemned Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to the disputed Kuril Islands, calling the trip absolutely unacceptable. Takachi says the visit to Iturup, known in Japan as Etorofu, has wounded the feelings of the Japanese people. Tokyo claims 4 southern Kuril Islands as its northern territories, while they're administered by Russia. The territorial dispute has lasted for decades and has prevented Japan and Russia from signing a formal peace treaty to end their World War II hostilities. Japan's Foreign Minister Toshimitsu Motegi also protested the visit, insisting the islands are Japanese territory under history and international law. Russia has strengthened its military presence in the strategic island chain in recent years, including in Iturup. Tokyo and Moscow's relations have also remained strained over Japan's sanctions against Russia following its invasion of Ukraine. Now, 4 of the disputed islands which visits Japan is upset about are also controlled and administered by Russia. They're Iturup, Kunashir, Shikotan, and the Homamai Islets. The islands separate the Sea of Okhotsk from the Pacific Ocean. Japan calls them the Northern Territories, while Russia includes them in the Kuril chain and views them as Russian territory won in World War II in 1945. Both countries signed a treaty back in 1951, calling the San Francisco Peace Treaty. That states that Japan renounces all right, title, and claim to the Kuril Islands, but does not explicitly recognize the Soviet Union's sovereignty over them. Japan claims that at least some of the disputed islands are not part of the Kuril Islands and thus are not covered by the treaty. Russia maintains that the Soviet Union's sovereignty over the islands was recognized in post-war agreements. Japan and the Soviet Union ended their formal state of war with the Soviet-Japanese Joint Declaration of 1956, but did not sign a peace treaty. During talks that into the Joint Declaration, the Soviet Union offered Japan the 2 smaller islands of Shikotan and Homamai in exchange for Japan renouncing all claims to the 2 larger islands of Iturup and Kunashir, but Japan declined the offer. The disagreement between the 2 island offer made by the Soviet Union and Japan's demand of regaining 2 larger islands as well became the cornerstone for continuation of the dispute into present day. Ukraine has carried out a major drone and missile strike on Russia's Black Sea port of Novorossiysk, damaging grain export terminals and targeting Russia's main naval base in the region. Local authorities say 3 people, including an 8-year-old child, were killed, 24 others were injured. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says the attack involved missiles, jet drones, and naval drones, describing it as a unique operation. Ukraine's military claims that 4 Russian warships were hit, including 2 frigates, though Russia has not confirmed the claim. The 2 major grain terminals were reportedly damaged, forcing Russia to consider redirecting some cargo to other ports and land routes. The attack comes as Ukraine steps up long-range strikes on Russian territory and shipping, while Moscow continues its air attacks on Ukraine. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom has defended its seizure of a Russian-linked Shadow Fleet oil tanker in the English Channel after President Vladimir Putin threatened to respond. Royal Marines boarded the Smertos in June in a first-of-its-kind UK operation targeting a sanctioned tanker. The vessel's captain, Ajay Pant, has been charged over alleged breaches of Russian oil sanctions. President Putin, speaking during Russian naval drills in the Pacific, accused Western countries of piracy and banditry over seizing Russian-linked vessels. warning Moscow would respond in kind. The UK says the boarding was carried out in full accordance with international law and that disrupting the shadow fleet is necessary to cut off revenue helping fund Russia's war in Ukraine. UK Defense Ministry estimates Russia's shadow fleet includes more than 700 vessels carrying around 75% of its sanctioned oil. Heading to the Middle East now, Palestinian families in the occupied West Bank have been forced from their homes during an Israeli military operation to remove Israeli settlers who had besieged 3 houses in the village of Kusra. The settlers cut off water and electricity to their homes since Sunday, with residents saying they were surrounded and prevented from leaving. Israeli forces have declared part of the village a closed military zone, while some Palestinian homes are reportedly used as military positions. The IDF forces says it has dismantled 2 illegal settler outposts and detained 1 Israeli. The United States Ambassador Mike Huckabee, who's long supported Israeli settlements, describes the settlers' actions against Kusra families as a horrific act of terror. The incident comes amid sharp rise in settler violence and displacement across the West Bank, with the UN reporting thousands of Palestinians displaced this year. Over to the United States now. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has issued a warning that drug trafficking networks could face the same U.S. military force used against suspected drug boats as Colombia joins a U.S.-led counter-cartel coalition. Speaking in Panama, Hegseth says Washington is working with Colombia, Ecuador, and other partners to target drug trafficking organizations on land. He adds that any group trafficking drugs or threatening Americans or U.S. partners could become a target, comparing the approach to U.S. operations against ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Colombia is now the 19th member of the America's counter-cartel coalition, following the inauguration of President Abelardo de la Espriella, who has promised a tougher approach to organized crime. Secretary Hegseth also refuses to rule out U.S. military action against Cuba, saying all options are on the table, including military options.
Operational capability, like you saw with the strikes on the drug boats, DTOs, same effect on land. And so we're working with Ecuador, we're working with Colombia, we're working with partners to bring the fight to the DTOs on land. Anywhere you traffic drugs, or you threaten the American people or our partners, you are a target just like ISIS or Al-Qaeda. We spent 25 years refining the kill chain on how to diagnose and target networks halfway around the world. How about we take those skill sets with the best Americans and apply it here? And that's why I meant what I said about putting cartels on notice. From all the way down here in the cocaine trafficking to fentanyl in the plazas of Mexico. This is a networked fight that we're empowering Southcom and Northcom together in the Western Hemisphere to execute ruthlessly. Not catch and release, not let's put them through a court process where we know they'll be released, or we're going to close with and destroy these networks with every capability of the.
It's been election day across Zambia today, a major one for President Hakainde Hichilema, who's seeking a second term in office. Elected in 2021, President Hichilema is campaigning on his economic record after helping the country restructure its debt and return to economic growth. High food and energy prices remain a major concern for voters, potentially weakening support for the incumbent. His main challenger is former government minister Brian Mundubile, who is backed by an alliance of opposition parties. Mr. Mundubile has accused the government of restricting his campaign and says the run-up to the election has not been free and fair. Security has been tightened after authorities announced arrests over an alleged plot to interfere with the electoral system. Polling stations close at 6 p.m. local time, with results expected by Monday. Authorities in the United States have charged 11 people over an alleged decade-long marriage fraud scheme, reportedly involving more than 1,000 sham marriages between Chinese nationals and U.S. citizens. Announcing the arrests and unsealing of the indictment, U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche described the alleged operation as one of the largest marriage fraud prosecutions in United States history. According to the indictment, foreign nationals allegedly paid facilitators as much as $100,000 to arrange marriages that allowed them to apply for the U.S. green cards. U.S. citizens allegedly received up to $30,000 to participate in the sham marriages. Blanche said the alleged facilitators used social media and other advertising to find foreign nationals seeking immigration status, while recruiters allegedly sought U.S. citizens willing to participate.
Today we are announcing the arrests and unsealing of an indictment out of the Southern District of New York, charging 11 individuals for allegedly overseeing an extensive, decade-long marriage fraud scheme involving more than 1,000 sham marriages between Chinese nationals and United States citizens, and then the submission of fraudulent applications for green cards. This is one of the largest marriage fraud prosecutions in United States history. This scheme was not a quick fly-by-night operation, but rather a years-long, multi-million-dollar cottage industry to criminally assist people who would not, or legally could not, otherwise become citizens of the United States. The men and women who facilitated this scheme were all naturalized citizens originally from China and one green card holder. Under President Trump's leadership, the Department of Justice is working alongside our partners at DHS to secure the border and protect American communities, something that was ignored during the last administration. Not only are we protecting our physical borders from unlawful crossings, but we are also preventing immigration fraud schemes that are just another way to skirt the immigration laws of the United States.
Still ahead on the program. A once-in-a-generation solar eclipse wows millions across the UK and Europe. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Let's head to India now, where 7 people have been killed, several others injured after a rain-triggered landslide crashed into homes in Mumbai's Chirag Nagar area. According to local reports, the landslide struck Gaushia Chowal in Ashok Nagar, sending soil, rocks and debris thundering down the hillside and crushing several homes. Meanwhile, rescue efforts remain underway as emergency teams continue digging through the wreckage for at least one person still believed to be trapped. Mumbai's Mayor Ritu Taude has visited the disaster zone and announced 4 lakh, around $4,200, in assistance for the family of each person and around $525 for treatment of each injured person. Away from India, France has opened disciplinary proceedings against its ambassador to the Central African Republic over allegations of misconduct in a potential security breach. Ambassador Bruno Foucher is accused of bringing dozens of women into his official residence in the capital Bangui, with some allegedly staying overnight. Reports suggest the alleged incident took place between January 2024 and March this year. A French diplomat confirms that administrative procedures against Mr. Foucher are underway, but the details and possible outcome remain unclear. The 65-year-old diplomat has served as France's top representative in Bangui since 2023. The case comes as France and the Central African Republic work to repair bilateral relations after years of strain. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has outlined government's plans to support manufacturing, boost investment, and tackle the challenges facing industry, including energy security, logistics, and job creation. He was speaking to business leaders at the SafeSA Business Breakfast, where he delivered the keynote. His speech comes at a critical time for the economy, with pressure mounting to lower the cost of doing business and drive inclusive growth. The president reiterated that the government will continue to support exporters through trade negotiations.
The long-term future of South African manufacturing depends on exports. And the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is creating a market of more than 1 billion people. All the 54 countries we have on our continent, across our continent, countries are building cities, railways, power stations, transmission networks, mines, factories, and as you might not know, South Africa is the biggest investor on the African continent. No other country gets close to the investment that we put on the continent. So we need to follow that investment with the capability that we build here. We will require precisely the products and capabilities that are represented in this room to be exported.
Well, Cameroonian fans, whom we'll see in a bit, in Yaoundé erupted in celebration after the indomitable Lionesses beat hosts Morocco 3-1 on penalties to reach the Women's Africa Cup of Nations final. Goalkeeper Michaeli Behina emerged as Cameroon's hero, saving Fatima Tegnawi's late extra-time penalty before stopping 3 more Moroccan kicks in the shootout. Michaeli Behina expressed her joy and appreciation for her fans, praising their support, which has helped the team remain optimistic. Neither side found a breakthrough over 120 minutes at Moulay El Hassan Stadium before Cameroon converted 3 of their 4 kicks in the shootout. The victory sends the indomitable Lionesses into their 4th WAFCON final and their first since 2016. They lose their previous 3 finals in 2004, in 2014 and in 2016. Cameroon will face tournament debutants Malawi in the final in Rabat on Sunday, August 16. And it seems we have crossed over to the much-awaited eclipse of the sun that happened yesterday in the UK and in Europe. Many people witnessed this once-in-a-generation and most significant solar eclipse across these areas as the sun disappeared behind the moon for a few fleeting moments. According to reports, onlookers across much of the UK saw the moon cover more than 90% of the sun, the most since 1999, while parts of Greenland, Iceland and Spain saw a rare total eclipse. Similarly, crowds gathered in the northern Spanish city of Astorga to witness the total eclipse sweep across the country, a first visible from mainland Spain in more than a century. As the light faded, crowds across the continent stopped what they were doing to look to the sky and watch the spectacle unfold. Some cheered as the last of the sun's rays disappeared, while others stared in silence, with astronomy enthusiasts saying it served as a reminder of how amazing the universe is. Well, as we're drawing the curtains on today's program, a magical new attraction has opened deep inside a giant sinkhole in southeast China. It's already been dubbed a real-life Hogwarts. The Yuan Taikeng Library, nestled in Jiangxi province, features floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a spiral staircase, warm golden lights, and even a dragon skeleton. Visitors say the fantasy-like setting feels like stepping into another world, with many flocking to the new library for its unique reading experience and striking photo opportunities. Social media posts have already helped drive interest, turning the cave-like library into a fast-rising tourist attraction where books, fantasy, and nature come together. Certainly looks magical. Thanks for watching The World Today. I'm Amarachi Ubani.